series I want to finish, and the final gambit. I'm gonna be really sad. My most anticipated read of 2024. Hey guys, it's Tiff and welcome back to my channel. You already know what today's video is, so I do not need to tell you twice. What is up? How are you? I love you, and let's get right on into it. We have a lot of books to discuss today, okay, because there are a lot of books I want to read in 2024. We're going to be talking about series I want to finish, series I want to continue, series I want to start, standalones I want to read, new releases I want to read, the whole shebang, okay, the whole shebang. We got a lot to go through, so let's get going. To start us out, we're going to be starting with series I want to finish. So, starting strong with the ACOTAR series. At the time of filming this, I'm currently about 50% through the second one, A Court of Mist and Fury. Now, honestly, I might finish this series before the end of 2023, but since the books are so big and we only have like 2 weeks left, I'm honestly not sure if I will finish it. So if I don't, I definitely will be finishing this in the new year. I have made it a goal to where I'm literally not going to be reading any other book aside from just reading the ACOTAR series right now. So chances are my first book of the year will probably be the last one or two. So that's the first series. Moving on, I really want to finish the Inheritance Game trilogy. I still need to read the second and third, the Hawthorne Legacy and the Final Gambit. I read the first one in October and really loved it. I think this story and the universe and the characters are all so well written. I think the story is very captivating. It's very fun, very cozy, inviting, mysterious, but in like such a fun way. It's puzzles, riddles, things like that, and it's literally just so fun. The characters are also just so lovable, I feel like, and I cannot wait to finish this trilogy so badly. And then I would also love to finish the Addicted series. So I currently only own the first 4. I've read the first 2. There is a lot of books in this series. I honestly don't know how many come after these 2, but I do want to buy the rest of them and finish this series in the new year because I really love this series. I just haven't been able to pick it back up because I've been reading other things, but I can't wait to pick it back up and get back into the world. I love the characters, the universe. They feel like your best friends. I feel like these characters also have a lot of depth. There's a very beautifully done found family in these books also, and I can't wait to just dive into it more because it's just so good. This is seriously a series I would say if you haven't started it, definitely start this in 2024 because I'm really upset that it took me as long as it did to get it started. It's so good. It's worth all the hype that it gets. Moving on, I would really love to finish the Knock 'Em Out trilogy by Lucy Score. I read Things We Never Got Over a few months ago and really enjoyed it. I honestly just love Lucy Score's writing. There's literally not a single book I've read by her that I haven't loved. I honestly love how thick her books are because the way she writes the most impeccable slow burns. She writes the most impeccable characters, the towns that she writes, all the little details. It makes everything so good. The humor she gives her characters, the banter, the tension. She writes so well. Her writing style is amazing. I know that this one obviously came out a few months ago and a lot of people were saying that it didn't live up to what they thought it would be, so I'm trying to kind of just go into these with a completely open mind and have no expectations for them because I don't want to be let down. But I would really love to finish this series also. And then the last series that I want to finish but also / continue because there is a new one coming out in the new year, and I guess that also goes for ACOTAR because as we know as of recently, Sarah J Maas is working on the 6th book in that series. But moving on, I would love to finish / continue the Magnolia Park series. I have only read the first one and I loved it so much, and I just have not had a chance to pick up the next ones in the series. I know Into the Dark is coming out sometime next year. I can't remember what month, but I would really love to read this series. I do own the original covers. The characters, I feel like although it does follow toxic relationships and there's just a lot of like drama, I feel like the characters are still so lovable and there is just beautiful writing in these books, like truly, well, in the first one. I haven't read these ones, but the writing is beautiful and it's very captivating. It also is another series that I feel like feels like your best friends. So that is another series I can't wait to continue / finish. And the last series that I would love to finish, I don't have the physical copies. I've been reading it on my Kindle because they're on Kindle Unlimited, but I would love to finish the Eden series in the new year. This has very quickly become my favorite series I have ever read. The town of Quincy, Montana feels like my home. Like it feels like home. Reading these books, I have said this, but like it literally feels like you meet your best friend and you just know, oh my god, this person is gonna be in my life forever. Like you can just tell, you just get that feeling. That's how I felt reading these books. Juniper Hill, the second in the series, has completely changed my life. I still need to read the last 2, Crimson Crimson River and Sable Peak just recently came out. I do also want to read the novellas. I believe there's 2. I feel like also a part of me is putting off finishing it because I don't want it to end, because I'm gonna be really sad to like say goodbye to that world and to these characters, but I of course do want to finish it because I love the book so much and I want to continue reading them. Okay, now let's move into some series I want to start in 2024. I'm gonna start with ones that I don't have physical copies of just yet, but series that I would really love to get my hands on and read in the new year, and that is starting out strong with Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. Now that I am reading Agatar, I completely understand the hype behind Sarah J Maas, and I would love to read Throne of Glass. I've heard absolutely amazing things. I literally don't think I've heard a single bad thing about Throne of Glass, and seeing Sarah recently read all of them like basically back to back has really made me want to read that series. So that is a series I would love to start in 2024. Another series that I don't quite have my hands on yet is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I believe there is a second one coming out in the new year called Reckless. That could be wrong. Okay, that could be wrong, but I believe so. I have yet to get my hands on Powerless, but I want to read it so bad. The hype behind that book is crazy. I have not seen a single person read that and say they didn't love it. It is just so hyped up, and I am really in my fantasy loving era right now, particularly in my like romantasy loving era right now. So I really want to get my hands on that. I really want to start that series. Obviously, like I said, I'm pretty sure there's a new one coming out. Why don't I honestly just like verify? Yes, it's gonna be a trilogy, and the second one, Reckless, comes out July 2nd of 2024, according to my quick Google search. Okay, moving on. We honestly have a lot of series that I want to start in the new year, which is crazy considering I am in the middle of so many series right now, but I would love to start reading the Dragon Ball series. This is a manga. I love this anime. Me and my husband Makai recently watched all of Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super. Now let me tell you, okay, I probably talk about this way more than I should, but genuinely watching this anime has changed my life in the sense that I became so utterly attached to this world, the universe, and the characters. I was literally sitting with my husband the other day and we were watching Gilmore Girls, and I looked at him and I was like, Makai, is it like normal to miss fictional characters? Because I'm sitting here and legitimately a thought that went through my mind was, I miss Goku, I miss Vegeta, I miss Lord Beerus, I miss Krillin. Like, just sitting here literally feeling like I miss these characters because we finished everything that's currently out. It actually made me so sad. So I decided recently I wanted to read all the manga, and I am actually so excited to do so. I've never read manga before, but I'm really excited to jump into a new world of reading because obviously manga is super different. This is a completely different culture. You read it differently, and I'm really excited to give it a go. And another manga that I want to read, I'm not really sure how I'm gonna feel about it, but my friend Michelle really loves the anime, and that is Chainsaw Man. I picked this up because I want to try reading some manga. I saw this and I was like, you know what, Michelle really loves this, and my husband was like, you should get it, she really loves the show. It's really gruesome, but I thought I'd give it a go. These ones are pretty short, so I feel like if I end up loving this, it would be like a super easy, quick thing for me to read. I don't know how many there is, but I'm sure there's a lot because I feel like with manga there is a lot typically. Yeah, I want to dive into a new world of reading, and I feel like it'll be fun to try something new. Moving on, I would also love to start and hopefully finish the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I've had the series on my physical TBR for a couple months. Once it blew up, first second I saw it available at my Barnes, I picked every single one up because I just had to have it. I had to get my hands on it, and I'm really excited to start it. After reading the first and the Inheritance Game trilogy, I have realized why people love her book so much, and it's because her writing is so captivating. People describe this to be like Criminal Minds, but like with teenagers, and they have like these special abilities and they work with the FBI, and I think that sounds so fun. I used to love watching like crime shows like that when I was younger. Me and my dad used to always watch them together, so I feel like this is something I'm really gonna enjoy, and to give me something a little bit different than like a romance or a fantasy, because those are the things I typically read most, and I don't read much mystery, so I feel like this will be really fun. And yeah, it's just so beloved, and I'm excited to see what the hype is all about. And moving on, this is a big one. Okay, this is a big one, and yes, I own every single one of them because I couldn't not, and that is the Shatter Me series. I'm literally struggling to hold them all right now because there's so many. The way I'm holding this, I look like I'm holding a baby, but I am so excited to dive into this world. I honestly don't think I've ever read something like dystopian before, so I'll be stepping into a different kind of fantasy realm with that. And this is again just another beloved series. People make it sound really good. I've heard amazing things. I've very very rarely heard something bad about this series. I feel like it will just be a really good read, again, to give me something a little different, to get me a little bit more outside of my comfort zone. I feel like in 2024, I do really want to try to read more things outside my comfort zone, maybe read a few more nonfiction, maybe try to read some more literary fiction, some more fantasy, maybe some more thrillers. I really want to step a little bit more outside of my comfort zone. Also, I would really love to, at some points, you know, just go to Barnes and don't even look at books that I've ever seen someone talk about, and just get books that I've never heard anything about, never seen on TikTok, never seen on BookTube, and just read something new, because I feel like the times I've done that, I've actually found some of my favorite books, and I want to do more of that in the new year. Just find things that I'm gonna love just because I love it, not because I heard somebody else loved it. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying. I would love to go ahead and start the Maple Hills series. I believe there's a third one coming out in the new year, but I have yet to read Icebreaker, and I do also own Wildfire, which came out earlier this year, and I'm really excited to give these books a read. I'm planning on reading Icebreaker in January just because I feel like it's gonna be the perfect vibe, because it's a hockey romance, and hockey romances give me winter vibes, so I feel like it's gonna be the perfect time to read it. Depending how much I love this one, I feel like I might save this one for spring and summer, because that's the vibe that the cover gives me for some reason. But overall, I'm just really excited to read it. I've heard endless amazing things about these books, about Hannah Grace's writing. People love her books, and I'm really excited to read it. I have heard these are like so spicy, so I'm interested to see how spicy they actually are. We shall see. I'm excited to find out. And moving on, I only own the first in the series, but I really want to start the King of Sin series by Anna Hong. I read the Twisted series by her, and that is such a beloved series by me. It's a 5-star series in my personal opinion, and I really can't wait to start this because it's kind of like an interconnected series with the Twisted series. The main guy of the first book, which is King of Wrath, is friends with the guy in the last book in the Twisted series, so you get little hints of Dante, our main character in this book, in Twisted Lies. So I'm really excited to continue it because I'm sure there has to be some cameos of our beloved people in the Twisted series in this series. I really loved Anna Hong's writing in the Twisted series, and I cannot wait to read more by her. And continuing, I only have one in this series, and this is technically kind of like two series that are also interconnected, but I would love to read the Caraval / Once Upon a Broken Heart series / they're both trilogies. I have had a lot of you guys recently telling me you want me to read this series, and I honestly really want to read Caraval first. I know some people say you don't need to read Caraval first because you don't really have to, but some people say you should because Caraval is just as good. Some people don't like Caraval and love this, but I would really love to read Caraval first and just read all of them. It's only 6 books if you really think about it, but I've heard amazing things, especially with the third one of this coming out just, I think, last month. This is just a really hyped up series, and I can't wait to read them, see what they're about. Really, all I know about this series is I believe it's about like kind of like a carnival that kind of just pops up randomly, and I think you have to get like invited. I don't know, something like that. That could be so wrong. I think that's what it's about. I don't know. I honestly like going into a lot of books blind, so that's why I'm not giving you full descriptions of like all these books, but regardless, I really want to start this whole series, Caraval and Once Upon a Broken Heart. And next, I would really love to read Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. I don't hear very many people talking about it recently, but when I bought these like beginning of this last year, a lot of people were talking about these. I think it's just a really beloved duology. I've heard really good things about it. I don't actually know what it's about. This is actually one of those things where I just saw people talking about it saying it was good, and I decided to pick it up. I never got to it because I wasn't in my fantasy era at that point. I hadn't really read fantasy when I bought it, but now that I am utterly obsessed with fantasy, and that's almost all that I've been reading, I can't wait to finally give these a read. I also am so in love with these covers. Like, I don't know, something about these covers. I really love them. I think they're so pretty and just so like unique. But yeah, I'm very excited to finally give these a read because they've been on my physical TBR for quite some time. Moving on, I would love to start the One Dark Window. I don't know if this is gonna be, I know there's 2 out right now. I don't know if it's a duology, if it's gonna be a trilogy or a series. I literally don't know, but I'm really excited to read this. First of all, for some reason, the cover of this gives me really good vibes, and I'm not really sure why, but something about how the cover looks is just so enticing and intriguing to me. I honestly don't know what this book / series is about. I feel like I remember it had something to do with cards and having to find them, but that could be like a different book and I'm remembering wrong, but I kind of like don't want to know. I kind of just want to go into it blind. Going into a fantasy series blind is, for me personally, like so fun. I love going into a fantasy series blind because then you have no expectations, and I feel like that makes it all the more magical and fun. So basically, I know basically nothing about all of these books. Moving on, this is probably one of the most hyped up book of 2024. The second one came out last month. If you haven't already guessed what I'm talking about, I would be very surprised. That is Fourth Wing. This is so hyped up. I can't believe I haven't read it yet, but I just haven't gotten to it. Honestly, when it was really hyped up, my Barnes did not have copies until, I kid you not, last month, okay? And when they did get copies, I saw they had the special edition, which is why I have this one. I think it's so pretty with the sprayed edges and the black and red. I think it's so, so beautiful, but I'm so excited to read it. I honestly really love dragons. Anytime there's dragons in like movies, TV shows, anything, I just like love it for some reason, and I can't wait to see what this is about because all I know is that it's about dragons, or not about dragons, but there's dragons in it and they like ride them. That's literally all I know, and I'm just really excited to get into it because, again, so hyped up. I feel like I'm really gonna love it. Like, I have a really good feeling about it. And continuing, we actually have another romance series, and that is the Dreamland Billionaires trilogy by Lauren Asher. I have yet to give this a read, and I'm honestly kind of like disappointed and sad about that because I do really, really want to read this. I actually did pick up the fine print in March, but I ended up going home back to my hometown for the entire month and ended up reading not a single book that month. So I only read like the first 10 pages when we were on our way there and then just forgot to pick it back up, and I just haven't picked it up since, but I am really excited to read it. These are actually some of my favorite covers that I own. I just genuinely love these covers so much. I think they're really, really beautiful. And of course, I've heard absolutely incredible things about this series. This was very, very hyped up earlier in the year, especially when the third one came out, which I think that came out sometime in the beginning of the year maybe. So yeah, I'm very excited to read this as well. Okay, now let's get into some standalones I cannot wait to read. First, we have The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. I recently picked up the special edition from Barnes. Actually, I did a book haul recently, which I showed this in, so if you haven't watched my book haul, you should definitely go watch it. But I am so excited to read this. I have read so many books by Lynn Painter at this point. I've read Better Than the Movies, Mr. Wrong Number, The Love Wager, loved every single one of them. This is another YA romance by her, like Better Than the Movies, and that book genuinely had me so giddy, kicking my feet, blushing, smiling, laughing, crying. That book was so good, so I can't wait to read another YA romance by her. I hate to say it again, but I have no idea what this is about. Like, actually don't know what it's about. I'm assuming it's like a second chance romance just based on the title, but I really don't know. I'm just overall excited to read it and read more by Lynn Painter because I love her writing. Speaking of people who I love their writing, I really cannot wait to read Love on the Brain and Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I read The Love Hypothesis this year, and that is one of my favorite books I've read this year. Olive and Adam are one of my favorite couples ever. I love them. I just loved that book, loved her writing, and I can't wait to read more by her. I've heard either really, really good things about this or really, really bad things about this, and I've heard amazing things about Love Theoretically. I just can't wait to read more by her. I love her writing. Again, one of those things where once I read The Love Hypothesis, she became an auto-buy, auto-read author for me. I can't wait. Also, I love all her covers. I think they're so, so cute, bright, colorful. They just give me good vibes. I feel like these are books I'm probably gonna pick up in the spring, summertime, because I feel like spring and summertime is like the time for romances. I don't know why, but if you agree, you should actually let me know down below. Anyways, next we have Sisters of Sword and Song by Rebecca Ross. She is the author of Divine Rivals. I've heard no one talking about this, but I was just strolling through Barnes. I was looking for a book that was a YA fantasy that would give me some medieval vibes, and based on the title having sword in it and having swords and maps and these little helmets on the back, I'm kind of conducting that it might give me some medieval vibes. That could be wrong, but I do have a feeling it might, and I'm really, really excited to read this. I love Divine Rivals, loved her writing. This book sounds really interesting. Follows two sisters. One of them was serving in the Queen's Army. She ends up coming home a day early, and she's like on the run for being charged with murder, and her sister, our main character Ava, decides that she's gonna try to like work off her debt so she doesn't have to serve all these different punishments. And it says they quickly begin to learn that there are fates much worse than death. So I think this is gonna be really good. A fun little standalone fantasy. I feel like I don't really have many standalone fantasies, so I'm excited to have one where I'm not gonna be starting a whole series. And another fantasy that I believe is also, what if this is not a standalone and I just like completely am lying to y'all? Okay, we're gonna backtrack a little. I thought this was a standalone. It's not. Apparently it's a duology. I did not know that. So just act as though we're still in the series I want to start section, and that is A Peculiar Apparel by Jeff Vandermeer. Now, I read the synopsis to you guys of this in my book haul. I am not gonna read it to you again. I just have to say that the synopsis of this is incredible. He really wrote the perfect synopsis to really get you to be like, wow, I gotta read that and know what it's about. It sounds so interesting, but also I have no idea what it's gonna be about because that's the synopsis. It's confusing. The last sentence of this synopsis is, if you proceed, you must repeat the following. I have been warned, the risk is mine. Long live Squishy. Who is Squishy? You'll have to read to find out. That's the last sentence of this. And these prior sentences don't give you any more information about what it's about, okay? But it sounds so interesting and I'm so excited to give it a read. This is actually a book that my husband picked up while we were at Barnes, handed it to me, was like, I think you should check out the synopsis, and I read it and I literally like jaw on the floor was like, I need this. It's a pretty chunky YA fantasy and apparently it's a duology and I didn't know. I don't know if the second one is out, but I'm super excited to read this. Like, so excited. Okay, some other standalones that I do not currently own but I would really love to read is just in general Emily Henry books. I'm an Emily Henry virgin. I hate to say that. Her books are so hyped up. Her writing, people love her. Happy Place came out over summer and that book kind of like blew up. We also have like Book Lovers and Beach Read, but I would really love to read some books by her. And this is actually going to transition us into our new releases of 2024 that I would like to read. And that is going to start with Funny Story by Emily Henry. I think it's the perfect opportunity for me to read some books by her and then read her new release. I have just honestly been hearing so many people talking about this new release and it's been really getting me hyped up to read some books by her. Another new release that actually technically comes out this year, but I know I'm not going to get to read it until next year because I'm again reading ACOTAR and ACOTAR only right now, is Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. This is the second to Divine Rivals. This is going to be a duology, so it's the final book. I cannot wait to read this. Divine Rivals is so good. This is me telling you that if you haven't read Divine Rivals, first of all, read it. Second of all, if you've tried reading it, thought it was slow, couldn't get into it, please keep going. I also thought it was slow at the beginning. My sister read it and also thought it was slow at the beginning, but you just gotta keep going and it gets so good. So good. I promise. But I'm so excited to read it. The first one leaves off on such a cliffhanger, so I'm very excited to read this and just find out what happens, find out if we get a happy ending or not. Who knows? It's a fantasy, we might not, and I'm just so excited. And the next one is probably my most anticipated read of 2024, and that is Deadly is the Throne. This is the second book in the Teresi trilogy by Lindsay J. If you know me, you know Heavy is the Crown is one of my all-time favorite books I have ever read. It was a book that I randomly got on my Kindle for $1.99, read it, the first sentence I was hooked. She wrote this book in such a captivating way where you jump in and you're already in the story and you just have to kind of be like, oh, okay, what's going on? What are we doing? And you are going through this story and there's not a single moment of boringness, of slowness. It's so good. It's so fast paced and it leaves off on the biggest cliffhanger of the whole freaking century. Okay, maybe not, but you know what I mean? It ends off on a huge cliffhanger and I cannot wait to read the next book. I don't know when it's coming out next year. She hasn't set a date, but it is for sure coming out in 2024 and I could not be more excited to continue this trilogy. This is me telling you guys, I genuinely believe everyone should read it. I've had a few of you guys actually read it because I've recommended it, or a few of you guys DM me and I've told you to read it and you've said, oh my god, I loved it. So please, if you're watching this, literally read it. Again, it's on Kindle for like $2.99 or something and it's so good. Another new release I'm really excited for that I just found out about is Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. Again, love her writing and I can't wait to read more from her. Honestly, don't know what it's about. I just recently, actually quite literally right now, trying to look at my list of new releases that were coming out and saw that this is coming out next year. So I'm so excited about that. Another new release I am so excited for is The Starter X by Mia Sosa. If you've been watching me since I started posting book videos, you would know that The Worst Best Man was the first ever romance book I ever read. And then I immediately read The Wedding Crasher, which is the second in that series. And Mia Sosa ever since then has just been one of my favorite authors. I loved those two books so much. I'm so excited to finally have another novel from her. I don't know exactly what it's going to be about, but I'm super excited to read it because I love her writing. Her books are just always going to hold a special place in my heart since she is what introduced me to the romance world. Another new release that I actually just found about this morning because Devaney Perry posted that she is going to be coming out with a new book in June called Cross Crossroads. I believe it's the start of a new series and I'm so excited. It's childhood friends, cowboy, forced proximity, second chance, enemies to lovers, small town. Because of how much I love the Eden series by her, I can't wait to find out that she is starting something new. Also, the fact that it's cowboy romance really excites me. Honestly, I'm sure there are so many new releases coming out next year that I'm excited about, that I haven't heard of, that I will be excited about. This video could go on for so long, but I'm gonna end it off there. This was a lot of books that I cannot wait to read in the new year, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already, because we have a lot of fun over here and we want you to join the fun, and it obviously helps me out a lot and I appreciate it to the ends of this earth. I hope you guys are enjoying Bookmas just as much as I am, and I will see you in the next one. I love you guys so much. Peace. Don't mess with that. No. In my heart there's a Christmas tree farm. There's gotta be a good one in there. Books just fell, cameras died. Uh-oh. I don't know about y'all, but I like to fluff my hood up. It sounds so weird. Always gotta channel that inner Sharpay, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Okay, that's cringy. I'm gonna stop. Okay? Always focus on my face, okay, camera? Thank you. Thank you very much. That's really zoomed in. And I literally love everything I have ever written. I also do want to read the novellas. I believe one is Quincy, or one is like, what is that show called? That's the show. I feel like in 2020, and start the, that scared me. My son just screamed. Thieves and Vow of Thieves. Who, what? And Vow of Thieves. I have yet to get this. I actually did pick up the, and ended up, I've heard, where once I read the, she wrote this way, another new release, Wedding Crasher by Mia Sosa. No, not The Wedding Crasher.